All right, for episode 2, we're going to continue in Colossians. We looked at Colossians 1, verses 9 and 10 last time, and I want to just read a little bit more in there and next 2 verses basically to draw it a little bit more. Remember that what Paul was saying, Paul and Timothy were saying in verse 9, that since they heard of the Colossians' faith and their love for all the saints, that they have not cease to pray for them, asking them that they would be filled with the knowledge of God's will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. And the fruit of that, of knowing God's heart, was that they could actually know that they are worthy and that God is pleased. And that was a significant point, and we need to, each of us, to receive that and accept that. We are worthy in His eyes, and He is pleased with us. But let's continue reading. We didn't read the rest of verse 10. And we'll read on here. He says, I'll just start beginning of verse 10. This is what's the result. This is what knowing God's heart does, is it allows you to know you're worthy and fully pleasing, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. So what he's telling us here is this is a result of knowing God's heart, His love, who He is. This impacts us, that I know that I'm worthy, I know that I'm pleasing, and I am fruitful in every good work. Notice all of this is His work, not mine. I didn't make myself worthy. He made me worthy. I don't make myself worthy. I live starting from the place and the reality of being worth it, being worthy, and that He is pleased. And then He is creating in me this fruitfulness. To know the will of God with all wisdom and spiritual understanding is this increasing in the knowledge of Him, is this last part in verse 10, has everything to do with my relationship with Him. In 1 John says that we know that we love Him because He first loved us. We know, like John 3:16, God so loved the world. It begins with God's love. And we know that love, and it changes us. It changes me from the inside out. Good work is born because He is the one working and creating within me, transforming me from the inside out. See, I can get so caught up in trying to make this my reality that I lose sight of He is the one who has done and is doing it. In Philippians, he says He gives us both to will and to do for His good pleasure, according to His pleasure even. So what we see here is this is the result of His work, and I increase in my knowledge of Him, knowing Him. Increasing indicates it's a growing, developing thing. I don't jump in being all the way at the end of it. I am increasing. As I get to know Him, I get to know Him more. It's this intimate relationship. And the more I'm in that, the more that I am in that fellowship and communion and oneness with Him, the more I know Him. John describes it in 1 John as abiding in Him. And that's a pursuit. And in fact, Jesus said the pure in heart will see God. And that pure heart here, that purity of heart, I didn't make my heart pure. John even says it in 1 John that we are to to purify yourself as He is pure. How do I do that? Knowing His will, knowing His heart, seeing that He has already cleansed me and washed me. So it's by faith. It's by faith. I'm not going to get past this verse 10. We're just finishing verse 10, and I will continue on Wednesday with the 11 and 12 because they're really, really important. What I want that I see in this and I want to share is that fact that God is the one that makes me fruitful. Jesus spoke of it as being as a good tree bears good fruit. He wasn't talking about the fruit. He was talking about the tree. You have been made a good tree. When you know God, when you hear His voice, when you know His will, His heart, He's declaring to you, you are a good tree. The good fruit will grow on the good tree. But just like when He talks in John 15, you're the vine, He's the vine, and you're the branches. You must be connected. And that is the increasing in the knowledge of God, knowing with all the fullness His will, His heart. That's where it starts. That's what you seek. And the next one, we'll talk in the next verses. There's some really powerful things there as well. But I want to keep these short and manageable. Take this nugget, take this little bit, and chew on it like a cow chewing its cud. Just chew on it. That's what meditation is. Take it and chew on it. And we'll continue in the next video on Wednesday.